record.
And you want me to go now? Is this like my portion, or you just tell me what?
Yeah, yep. I was just gonna just say a little bit about
Oh,
you
cool.
from the post, just what you did last year, or you can go ahead and introduce yourself. Totally fine, whatever you want to do.
No, I'll let you just do the initial intro and then
Yeah, make you sound all fancy coming on up. All right.
somebody else
So
talk about me.
everyone yeah. So everyone, thanks for coming. This is Chris Edenfield in the Beaufort market. Love this stat. In 2024, he closed 44 units and over 14 million in sales, all while having a full-time W-2 job. So we all want to know how you did it. We want to know how you're cold calling. We want to know all the things because, people are struggling right now to get 5 or 10 deals, but you sold 44 units with a full-time job. So take it away.
All right, good. So I did a little PowerPoint presentation for this. So I'm going to screen share here. I'm not the most tech savvy person either. Let's see. Is it share? Oh, I got to send a request. Sharing is not turned on. There we go. Okay, I'm good. All right, let me make sure it's PowerPoint. All right, good. All right, is everybody with me now on the slideshow?
Yep, we
Is
can
that
see it.
perfect?
Hmm.
Okay, good. So, I guess the point of this today is just to talk about cold calling. Obviously, this is kind of something some people, are not interested in, or something some people are just, nervous about. I want after this, this presentation, I want you to like not necessarily, um, be so uncomfortable with the conversations. I want everybody to be more confident. I want them to have productive conversation. Everything in this slide here, and this will be referenced at the end, is in 3 books. My favorite book of all these is What to Say by Chris Smith. It's incredible. Um, I'm a big audiobook guy, and I bet I've listened to this thing 30 times or 40 times in the car. It's not a long book, so it's easy to listen to that way, but that's the one I really highly recommend. The next book is Objections by Jeb Blunt. It's okay. It's not anything profound, but it, has some, some nice little tidbits in there. And then another one is Cold Calling Sucks. This one actually I think was recommended by Blake. And this guy's name is a little hard for me to pronounce, but it's Armad Farak. Really a great book for kind of setting up your day and understanding kind of like what's the best time to call, like when, what type of calls, what type of medium. So that's a really interesting kind of book on data and that sort of thing and how can it influence your business and calls. Um, Next slide. So again, like we kind of touched on it, but the goal for today is not for you guys to love cold calling. The goal for today is to be more effective, be more efficient at cold calling. Again, I want you guys to have more genuine conversations. I want you to build more rapport very quickly with your clients. And then I want you to also like feel like you're kind of handling these objections more naturally and not so caught off guard when these questions are asked. And the goal of all this at the end of the day is to get more appointments, to get more, what they say, tummy to tummy, and to really close more deals. So, there's a lot of technology out there, and maybe some people argue, is cold calling still effective? I definitely know it is. There's a lot of tools out there that sellers have now. They're more savvy about answering the phone. And one of the things I think that I've noticed a lot in my calling that I don't really have a great answer for yet is Google Assist. This is something that's a barrier to talking to your clients, and inevitably, maybe you guys can help me on how to get around this thing, but it's really an annoyance to me when I have someone that has a Google Assist, because invariably I never get to talk to anybody. Um, in terms of our side of things, we have plenty of devices, we have plenty of AI, we have plenty of mediums, but no matter what, at the end of the day, getting someone on the phone is king. That's the best way to build rapport with people. They're going to trust you a lot faster. And in particular, like, it's just a mistrusting client in general. So kind of it'll help shift them quickly over to, to really, really working with you and understanding your value. Um, when you first call someone, let me back up here. Oh, sorry. Um, Not done yet. Um, One of the most important things that Allison's taught me through kind of me working with her, is this term of being first that she terms it. I've read it. It's speed to lead. You want to make sure with these expireds or FISBOs or what have you that you're having early conversations, because the early contact is really important to build rapport because they're going to get a lot of calls and they're going to be annoyed by the number of calls down the road that they get. Um, but even understanding the cold calling aspect of things, even understanding, um, to being first, I think more important to that is just being consistent. I think making calls, making texts, touches over time is going to be really what's going to yield a lot of the results that you guys are looking for. Um, I don't know this is a true statistics. I'm kind of making it up, but probably 90% of my calls that I make as a listing agent 90% of those take multiple touches, maybe more 5 touches, 10 touches, 15 touches, but it's very rare that I get a listing set or I get a signed listing document on the first call. I mean, it happens, but it's not nothing I ever expect. Um, the first 7 seconds on the phone is obviously kind of the most important when you talk to a client or a lead. Um, the most important thing is going to be your tone. It's going to be, how you say something, how fast you say it, whether you're confident or not. It's not so much that like there's a perfect script out there for anybody. I think each script needs to be tailored to each individual person. Um, backing up a little bit to the tone needs to be as inquisitive as possible. You may know what you're asking, you may know the answer to the question, but you want them to have a sense that you're truly invested in them and you want to know about their situation, and that way you can help them best. You want to make sure you're staying conversational with them. You want to be empathetic with them. I mean, we look at it as a transaction, but this is like their kind of life or death for them. They don't do this a lot, so we can really help them out. And so one of the things that I think can be helpful when you're kind of jumping on the phone with people is to make sure you're doing like more permission-based openings. So, hey, do you mind if I this? Or hey, I've got a quick question for you. So you want to make sure that you're kind of asking them because they get a little bit of an edge on you. They feel like when you're asking questions and you're saying, okay, is this cool if I do this? Or when can I do that? What works for you? Found that to be really, really helpful. And I think you guys probably have heard this, but anybody that's asking the questions is the one that controls the conversation. So it's important to make sure that you're the one that's kind of leading the charge on the questions. Um, a lot of agents have a lot of reluctance to get on the phone and cold call. This kind of stems from the fact, and this is kind of a personal experience for me, is that like when I get cold called, I get so angry, and it's almost like the person's not a real person at the end of the day. You just like talk down to him. You're like, leave me alone, all this stuff, and that's not probably the best practice, honestly, because there is a person on the other end, but there's actually really science behind this, and it's really an evolutionary adaptation that we have. We feel like that someone's taken someone from us or that someone's trying to sell us something. It's natural to push away. It's natural to have these strong responses. So, when you're calling and you get some of this heat back from people, just know that, it's not necessarily that it's not you ever, but know that sometimes they can't help it. It's just part of like their response, their reaction to you calling. Again, no one likes being sold to. And so like with that kind of mentality, or maybe you've made a few calls and you've had rejection, and maybe someone's not been nice to you at all. And so, that's kind of I think where there's a lot of reluctance to get on the phones because it's hard. It doesn't feel good when people yell at you or they talk down to you or what have you. But a way to really get around all this is to make sure that you have a lot of structure before you start. You understand kind of what your goal is. And then honestly, just get on the phones or just practice a lot because that's what's going to really eliminate your fear. It's going to eliminate this reluctance and it's going to build a lot of confidence. It's not going to happen, it's not going to happen up front, but it's going to certainly happen over the long course because, I was not any bit good at calling when I first started. And I've gotten much better at it now, but by no means am an expert. Um, so what this kind of this kind of fear mode and go into performance mode that I'm kind of hinting at a little bit. Anna's done a really good job of kind of reinforcing this with me, and I love when she says it. She kind of focuses or talks about how all of us are so outcome focused. You know, we're wanting the listings, we're wanting the buyers, we're wanting the contracts, we're wanting the closings. But that's not really the focus of cold calling. The focus is actually on the process. And with practice over time on the process, you're going to get the outcomes you want. But that's kind of the hard part is to kind of move away from getting the appointment, getting the listing, to going more so of just focusing, putting your head down and focusing on the calls, focusing on your scripts and your tone and the actual person you're talking to. When you do this over a long period of time, like we've kind of hinted at extensively, you move away from this kind of fear, pain mentality, and then you're actually able to kind of get a perspective with your confidence that you actually can offer value to these people and you can actually help them meet their goals rather than, feel like you're selling to them. It's more of a self-service mentality, if you will, that kind of KW mentality that you can really grow to develop. Um, so here's like kind of the framework of how you set your cold calling prep up. You want to first design a script. I know that everyone's like, well, I don't want to be robotic. I don't want to do this, but you have to do a script if you're going to cold call. That's the only way to do it. You got to know kind of what your direction is. You have to have your organization. It's important to have your voice on it. So if you read a script and it's not how you talk or it's not what you say, you need to change it to what you actually talk like and everything else. Um, Blake actually taught me this, and it's been really helpful, is that you want to also kind of like research your clients a little bit. I hope I'm not tipping anybody off, Blake, but Blake, I've heard him go as far as like Facebook people just to know like, where they live, who they are, and that kind of thing. And I think that can be immensely helpful. What I look at more so is I want to know when they bought the house is kind of the most important thing I want to know because I want to know, are they in a position where they can sell it? Are they in a position where they need to do something else, like a short sale or that kind of thing? So it just helps to know like really what kind of motivation can they have, what do they have? So that's kind of good. Um, probably beyond preparation, probably the most important thing to do and the hardest thing to do is just pick up the phone and start dialing. It's hard because you want to, some people want to research stuff to death. Some people want to, do anything they can not to call and not to get yelled at. But at the end of the day, you got to pick up the phone and you got to dial. Um, when I sit down and I start doing this dialing, I always have a script in front of me, always. I sort of more so use it as a reference, but I don't necessarily use it, I don't read it word for word, obviously. And then I write this abbreviation down, which is STFU. And so that for me is something that I have to really work on because I can just have this verbal diarrhea with people, clients in particular. And so it's important for me to take a step back and like stop and to pause and to listen because that's been more successful to me, with my experience with cold calling. Um, Backing up to the script a little bit, you want to make sure when your script is designed, and a lot of the scripts do this inherently, but you want to make sure the conversation, the questions go from least invasive to more invasive. And what'll happen is you'll kind of get checked when you kind of overstep your bounds a little bit, and that's natural, but you just want to make sure that you're kind of listening to what they're saying, how they're saying it, and that way when you got to kind of back up a little bit or you can move a little bit more forward. But don't be afraid to ask, but they'll check you sometimes whenever you're calling. So, and that's okay because at the end of the day, you're trying to push your micro commitments further down the script algorithm is what you're trying to do.
Hey, Chris,
Um,
can you
yeah,
say what STFU is again in front of
STFU, the
you?
abbreviation,
Yes.
it just means shut my mouth, basically.
Oh,
And that's what I
Chris,
have to do that
Chris
when I'm calling
asked.
because I'll just talk and talk and talk, and I'm just like, Chris, shut up, man. Just
Uh, I
listen.
heard you say that, like stop talking, listen, but
Yes.
I was writing something down and I didn't look at that makes sense. There's the acronym. And you may get to this, but here comes Ashley with her W and questions because I'm sure people want to know because I don't love to cold call. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm more relational. I mean, we did, right? And we were on Zillow. I had to call and pick up the phone for people. So, of your 44 transactions you had last year, how many of those were from cold calling versus Sphere or referral? Would you say
I mean,
ish?
it may be 90%. I mean, it's
Okay.
virtually all of them. I don't mess with buyers. I don't mess with everyone is new to me. Like the hard part with me and Buford or me and Hilton Head or me and Bluffton is like I'm from Georgia, so like I have a 478 number, and that's the first thing they answer, like, where are you calling from? And so like
Yeah.
I'm like I live here. Like I'm sorry, I know I just kept the number since I'm 16, but everyone to me is all new. Um,
Okay.
which which I would love to have a nice sphere of influence, but I'm an alien, I'm an outsider, so
Hmm.
I don't have that luck, unfortunately.
And would you say, are you mostly going for expired for sale by owner? Are you circle prospecting? Like what is kind of your main?
So pound for pound, your expireds right now are going to be your kind of mainstay. I used to mess around more with FISBOs, but the problem with the FISBOs is you already know their price is going to be too high. I mean, that's just inherently it's going to be. So your time
Yeah.
commitment on them is going to be a lot longer nurture. And I don't really like to talk to someone before I guess they've had experience on the market, because like you become the agent that didn't do it or didn't perform or unprofessional, like whatever acronym they want to use that you didn't perform. So I like to have people that have experience in the market before meeting me or talking to me,
Hmm. I know
essentially.
Allison said, I want to be the third agent in. I
Hell, I'll
want to
be the
be like,
fourth agent. I don't
yeah,
care. I
or the
mean,
fourth, go after her.
anybody. I don't want to be, yeah, never first, second. I used to want to be second, but yeah, second's hard. I mean, it's still tough.
And so for people with phone reluctance, because I know this is a big thing, I'm sure for a
Mhm.
lot of people on this call, like where it's kind of what you said, you have to come with a plan. Where do you start? Like, who would you call first? If I'm nervous, I don't want to get rejected, where would you tell them to go first?
I would just say it doesn't matter where you start. Just pick up the phone. That's the
And
most
go, it
important
doesn't
thing.
matter if I'm
Just
rejected
jump.
because it's fine.
You're
There's
sitting at
just,
a
there's going to be more.
yeah, you're sitting at a 50-foot diving board and you're standing there and you're like, man, I don't know about this. I mean, if you got somebody to push you, do it, but you got to pick up the phone, you got to call, and with that, you're going to get better. It's just the name of the game. You got to
I
practice it. You
used
got
to
to do
do
it.
that though, of getting like when I would have to do it like years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I would get like nervous. I'd be like researching the house, and it's like you don't even know if they're going to pick up the phone. So you got to also like kind of move through the calls and just go
Right,
make it a game and go, you know what? Who cares if they reject me? I don't know them.
right.
There's more fish in the pond. Like think about how many transactions we have. I think we get so tied to the outcome. It's like we're
Hmm.
selling 44 homes of hundreds of thousands of homes in the state. Like 44 is like the little drop in the bucket, or 35, or
Minuscule,
whatever you're selling. There's so many opportunities, and if you miss one, there's more out there. But I think it's
always.
just jumping into it. So do you feel like you just got over your fear by making the calls, like just going into it and getting like a win to get you through to the next call?
I mean, unfortunately, like the way the numbers are and everything else, like it may be 50 calls before you get somebody on the phone. So like it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you're numb to the calling at that point in time, and it just becomes for me, it just becomes kind of second nature when I get them on the phone. But
Mm-hmm.
but I like what you touched on there, because there's a lot of people that like want to know like what their rate is on their mortgage, and who their mom is and everything else. And at the end of the day, you just have to have some brief information, understand like where is their motivation that they're not telling you. You want to have a little bit of a backstory on kind of why are they selling? Because a lot of times they may not know, or they may not want to tell you, because who are you to them? You're just a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Well, I interrupted your presentation like normal. So,
No, listen, I love
do-
it. I can go for days, honestly. So yeah, it's fine.
does anyone have questions for Chris? I don't know if you want to jump back into it, but I think,
Yeah.
a lot of people this is a topic that comes up all the time. Like we
Hmm.
talk about our team, with Zillow, I know Allison's team is a Zillow Flex partner, but, with all the stuff going on with them and, in the media, we're like, how do we become more listing focused? How do we become more, we got to hunt for the leads. Like because if that goes away,
Hmm.
that's like 33-40% of our business because there's
Yeah.
still a return. So it's getting back on the phones. I think being very calm and
Hmm.
repeating. I know Emily Brown does a lot of cold calling, and what I
Yeah,
notice
she's
when I
very
watch
good.
her, she it's like so slow for me because I'm so fast paced and I just never stop talking. Troopy knows. But
STFU.
she's yes, and she's so calm. So like she would just repeat, okay, STFU. Okay. Yeah, that's and like she'll say it two, three times. And I'm like, move forward already. But that's the difference though. That's how she keeps people engaged by going very slow, repeating what they say, and just moving through the call.
And she's buying herself time when she's repeating what they say. That's why you want to
Yes.
reiterate it because you can actually, you're always thinking about what you're saying next, and really it's helpful to take
Mm-hmm.
a step back, listen, and your body inherently or your mind inherently subconscious is going to go ahead and give them the right response after that if you practiced it and rehearsed it.
Well,
Yeah.
and the best question is always ask them, what do you feel went wrong with your last listing?
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah.
just shut the hell up.
100%. Yeah. And they'll be like, my agent, this and that. And I'm like, man, I hate that. That agent, poor agent, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll go back to it here. Any other questions? We good?
I think anybody else right now? No.
No. All right, cool. Let's see. Everybody can see it okay? Slideshow. Let's see how we go back to the slideshow here. Resume slideshow. There we go. Cool. All right. Let's see here. And so what we were talking about before was talking about when you're sitting down to do these calls, you've prepped everything, you're confident, you've rehearsed it, you've practiced it, you're not going to talk too much. Um, Allison taught me this. This is really important. If you're making these calls, you want to obviously time block your time. You want to make sure you turn your social media off or you go to a room that's quiet. You're not, in front of the television. But if you do have a task that comes up and you have to handle it, make sure it's less than 5 minutes. Because if it's less than 5 minutes, you can handle it during your block. But if it's not, you need to table it, write it down on a piece of paper, and handle that after your block is over. Um, Reflection's also really important with this. I do a lot of this with the calls. Kind of think back about like, what worked, what was my tone? Was I too fast? Did I talk too much? What were the objections? Because, if you start kind of looking at some of this information after you've done it, you'll notice that you'll be kind of making small improvements and really be more effective over time and effective with your time. Um, and then something I want you guys to all like know is that there are just some assholes in the world. So no matter what, like you're going to call people and they're going to be totally mean with you, so be it. That's just the way it is. There's one in every bunch. Um, but just to kind of not hone in on these particular people, but sometimes though, with these people, you don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know like that they just, had a bad car accident or they're can't make their mortgage or whatnot. So it's important to make sure that you're calling these people back at some point in time, no matter how mean they're being to you, because their situation or whatever factors they have going in their life, they may have changed and maybe they're going to be in a better mood. So I've had certainly a lot of these calls that I've been like, man, I'm never calling that guy again, and call him back in a month and he's my best friend. So just don't be afraid to take the rejection up front and just to understand that, these, who you're calling is human and, maybe they're in a good mood sometimes, maybe they're not. So it's just part of it. And this also kind of reflects back to, to that natural mechanism that's a reaction to people to really want to get off the phone with you versus necessarily, that they're in the right mindset to be able to be receptive to your call. Um, this is just some quotes that I really like a lot. That you don't necessarily rise to your goals, you fall in your systems. Being really accountable, and I think Blake does a really good job of this, is you want to make sure that you're really meticulous about tracking what you're doing. You're tracking your dials, your leads, your conversation, your appointments. I think it's also important to know like sort of like geographic locations of who you're calling and when that's effective and are you converting? Some neighborhoods, and I struggle with one in particular is Kalawasi. I mean, I don't know what the guys give in the front. They must give free food when they come in the gate, but they are not interested in work with any other agents out of Kalawasi. So I've got to do a better job of that. I don't know if this is news, but I think Allison's designed an app to track this on her team and stuff. So just something to know that's there. I don't know if that's I'm breaking any stories here or anything else. And then the last quote I want you guys to like to hear is just the fact is what gets measured can improve. So if you're not measuring tracking, then you don't know whether you're good, bad, hot, cold. So important to make sure you're really looking at these numbers and collecting the data. This is a good framework here for for when you're on your calls and to kind of understand really how to go about like the mechanics of it. First thing to do is when you have an objection, you want to make sure that you're hearing them. You're saying, I understand. Man, that's a tough spot. I understand exactly what you're saying. I hear you. You want to make sure you follow that up with clarifying. You want to ask questions and ask questions and ask questions and questions and questions. That's important because you're going to, for one, lead the conversation going forward. And on top of that, you're going to ask some questions. And they're going to feel like, wow, this guy really cares, or this girl really cares about, you know, their craft or cares about me, and they want to know more about that. Um, Kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but you want to keep the conversation moving forward. You want to transition. Again, your script design should move from least to most invasive on questions. You want to stay conversational with it and not just read question for question for question. So you want to deviate a little bit from kind of what your design is on the script. And again, most importantly, stay calm. It's going to help reduce the tension on the call with you. And then when you have less tension, it's going to change the perception of your lead or your client to reluctance and going to move more into a trust perspective and feeling. These objections here are statistically, these are the 80% of all the objections you're going to get. So you want to know that you're going to get these. You want to know the answers of these, and you want to know sort of roughly what how you're going to respond and how you're going to transition from these further down the line. It's not important necessarily to have like this specific answer to the question. This is not a test when you're on the phone with people. You want to make sure that you're hearing what they're saying and you're transitioning naturally to what their needs, feelings, and fears are. And you're going to like sort of move down the line of your conversations. You're going to stay calm again. You're going to validate their concerns and you're going to continue the dialogue and to move down your script.
Hey,
Um,
Chris, I know we're getting oh, is this to those? Because I was going to say if you wanted to role play like your quick line to those five, I think that would
yeah,
be a good tactical thing to take away from this.
yeah. And
Because I know
so
we're at 9:04, so we always try to get close to nine. But I think if I respond to you like I'm the seller and I say those
yeah, go
responses,
ahead.
I
Yeah,
would
go
love
ahead.
for you to give me like a one-liner, one or two-liner, how you handle them.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're already working with another agent. I
Yeah.
want to
So
know. Oh,
so
what
I'm
do
going
you?
to
I'm
say
sorry.
that, and then you're going to just do, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Chris, I mean, we're already working with another agent.
I'm be like, that's wonderful. That's great. Who is the agent? And the rationale for that is I'll really want to know, do they have an agent? Because they'll be like, oh, well, I don't remember their name. And so that
Mm-hmm.
tells me like, maybe this is a subtle, that natural
Yeah. Oh, I think it's John.
reaction.
I can't remember his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
we're
so
already
like
working with him.
if you don't know your agent's name, they're not really your agent. So, it's,
Mm-hmm.
I want to get a sense for who they are. And if I know them, great, that's great. And then
Mm-hmm.
I follow that statement up, if they're really sure who it is and they're confident moving forward, I'll say, listen, that's wonderful. Like, I really hope that, I can bring you a buyer down the road.
Yeah. All right, Chris. I mean, we're not ready to sell yet.
And so for this one, I would say, that's really interesting. Like, can you tell me more about like why you went on the market for it expired in particular? Why you went on the market in the first time? Like, what was going on back then in your life that you decided to go on the market?
Well, we were just moving out of state, but it's been so frustrating. All these people, we've had some people in our house, but always having to have it clean. So I just think we're not ready to put it back on yet.
Yeah. So, like I understand that that's kind of how you feel on not wanting to move forward with it. Do you think there's a specific time down the road that you guys may want to circle back to that selling perspective?
I mean, I don't know. We just feel really beat up, so we're really not sure right now.
Cool. Well, how about this? How about for now, I'll just basically plan to give you a call down the road. When do you want me to give you a call again?
Oh, in a couple months would be probably fine.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Would you
Perfect.
ever go into like, hey, if a buyer did come along in the next few months, would you still make that move? Or what would it take to make that move? Or do you even go into that or no?
It depends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but if they're telling you that they're like want to take it off the market, they're annoyed with the market, and
Mm-hmm.
the market climate, there's no point in trying to, fake a
Yeah, talk
price
them
you could
into
maybe
it.
get for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really looking for downstream on that one. You're just saying,
I,
hey, okay, let's plan to table it for now and talk later.
I want to hear what you have to say. We want to wait until spring We're thinking about waiting till spring because that's when homes sell.
Yeah. And so can you tell me more about like why you want to wait till spring?
Well, we just know people start looking then, and it's holidays and that kind of thing. So I think we're just gonna wait till the spring.
Are you worried at all about there being more house on the market in spring that you have to compete with?
We didn't really think about that, but we know kind of people's mindsets not focused on buying houses right now.
Well, that's great. Well, do you think it would be helpful if instead of listing in spring, you kind of backed up a little bit to get an edge on the market and to get an edge on the other sellers?
Do you think we'd have to reduce our price now because there's not as many people looking?
I don't think that the price is necessarily influenced by when you sell. I think it's more of a factor of how many buyers are in the market versus how much inventory is there, which, as you know, is simple economic supply and demand principles.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I guess we'll think about it.
And then and
Um,
then
uh,
and then you go right back to where it was. Okay, that's great.
yeah.
When do you want me to call you again? The same thing. When do you want me to call you
It's
again?
the follow-up that's the problem for pretty much everyone because I do not follow up. Emily is great at following up. She will set tasks. She's got a lot of people right now that she talked to 2 years ago, and even some reaching out to her that were expired calls, like calling her back, which is funny
Yep.
after a couple of years. But she does have that tenacity to follow up.
And
Um,
organization. You got to
an
get organized.
organization,
Yeah.
huge organization. Yeah. And it's crazy to see the fruits of her calling from 2 years ago coming back right now.
Uh-huh.
So, any questions for Chris? I know we're over time a little bit, but we just want to see if we have any questions.
You me just blow through this real quick,
Oh,
the
sure.
background. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
I'll blow through. I'm sorry.
Okay. No,
I was
that's
like trying to
okay.
like drag it out and everything else.
No.
Let's see. So we got tech responses here. So like basically you just want to understand the structure of this. You're appreciating them. Your tone's great. You're trying to move the conversation forward. Um, Again, just remember that the questions control the conversation, or the questionnaire controls the conversation. This is kind of what you were hinting to just a second ago. Um, Most of your deals are going to happen after multiple touches. You want to use as many mediums as possible to get people on the phone. If you're not having success with that, you want to understand the mediums that are getting people on the phone. Don't feel like you're being annoying. Don't feel like you're going to like irritate them. It doesn't matter. You're being persistent, you're a professional, and what they're going to appreciate is that your consistency and persistence is going to show as your professionalism to your craft because that's what all you guys are as professionals. As you mentioned, I had this actually in kind of my notes here is that I've had multiple clients after less than five touches over a year and a half call me after 6 months of no touch and say, "Hey, can you list my house?" And I'm like, "Well, of course I can, but like I got to look back at my notes and remember who you are." So it's important to make sure that you understand that like it's the long game, really. If you have somebody in your CRM, that's a savings account for you, if you will. Um, Allison really taught me this, and it really helped me to get more successful. Making sure you're tracking everything, your conversations, your calls, your results, time of morning, time of day, medium of conversation. It's normal to make 100 calls and only talk to 10 people on the phone. I think that's actually pretty good statistics. Make sure that when you're documenting, when you're calling, texting, when you're getting responses, just know like what time of day is it? Is it 10 a.m.? Is it 7 a.m.? Is it 1 p.m.? Is it 5 p.m.? You'll notice that certain times of day will be more effective, with conversions of getting people on the phone. Just a note here, double dial is something that can be, it's people are not aware. Does everybody know what double dial is? Yeah, anyway, so double dial is something that you can increase your answer rate. The problem is you're going to lose the follow up on that because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to just delete your number right after that happens. So I kind of discourage the double dial because it's kind of a short term win, but it's not recommended in the long term of things. Kind of just basically just uh, this slide's basically talking about just making sure you're getting better over time, you're getting confidence. Make sure you have the mentality that I help people, I don't sell to them, I offer value. When you have more closings, when you have more of the success from these calls, you're going to get more confidence. The small gains over time is going to create a lot of success and a lot better performance. Some of the closing quotes I just want to kind of add on to here is that cold calling is all about persistence, like you had mentioned with Emily. Every no that you get teaches you something. Every call that you make builds your skills up. The more you call, the more you learn, the more you earn. So it's kind of cheesy, but I think about that a little bit. And for me, the most important thing with calls is volume. You got to call as much as you can and as often as you can. Again, just referencing this stuff back, these are the books that all this stuff came from. Wonderful books. My favorite one is certainly What to Say. Second favorite is Cold Calling Sucks, and then Objections is kind of ho hum. But thanks for your time. I'm sorry to run over. I guess I want to make sure this actually stretched out far enough. So I'm glad that I exceeded my goal there.
No, that was so great. I love that. The more you talk, the more you learn, the more you earn. It's so
Yep.
true. And it's practice, and then confidence comes
Hmm.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. Cool.
so good. Awesome. Well, thank you. I think this is going to help a lot of people just make the call, make the first call. Just
Pick
go
up the
call someone, and
phone.
who cares what the outcome is?
Jump off the diving board. Just go.
Yes. All right, everyone. Well, have a great day. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8:30.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks. See
Chris.
y'all.
Bye.